Hi there, it's Anna Runkle here, also known as the Crappy Childhood Fairy. And today's the day I'm going to answer the 10 questions that I've been getting the most from you guys about my daily practice. Now, this is the twin set of techniques that I teach that saved my life and helped me heal the brain dysregulation that came from childhood trauma and that was wrecking my life back then. So if you haven't learned it yet, it's free. It's a brief online course with videos and downloads, and there's a link to it in the description section below. And when you take it, there's a video at the beginning where I explain what it is and how I learned it. And I talk about how I figured out that on top of a lot of other benefits it was giving me, it was healing my brain and my emotional dysregulation, which is super common in adults who grew up with abuse and neglect. Now, I didn't know what dysregulation was when I started using these techniques. I just knew that I quickly got calmer, more focused, like much more focused, more emotionally okay, and just more able to do life because I wasn't so freaked out all the time. So, real quick, what the daily practice is, it's 2 techniques. First, a writing technique to get the fears and resentments out of your mind. And it's been my experience that those spinning stress thoughts that make me so reactive, when you break them down, are basically one of 2 things. I'm fearful or I'm resentful. And yes, I'm simplifying the range of negative emotions here, but these 2 concepts, fear and resentment, are sufficient to get it out and onto paper. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I'll just skip the lesson and start writing fears and resentments, like Anna said, it won't work like that. There's a real technique to it that results in feeling a release from those negative emotions, not just focusing on them or basically ranting with a pen. But no worries, you can learn to use the full technique in less than an hour in the free course. Now, the second piece of the technique in the daily practice is a simple meditation. And the course teaches you how to do that. If you already have a really solid established meditation practice, you could use that, but even then, you might want to try my super simple method because the goal of what I'm teaching you might be a little different. It's intentionally very simple, not demanding, and it's very relaxing. And this is not only good for your brain, but it makes the 2 techniques a lot easier to stick with over time. And they work best when practiced twice a day, every day. So I thought I'd share with you the 10 most common questions that I get about the daily practice, okay? Number 1, what if I don't have time to write and meditate twice a day? You were thinking that, right? Okay, that's a very good question, and honestly, most people have this concern, including me when I first started. Hardly anyone has time to spare. And one of the reasons many of us feel so squished for time is because our minds are so full of thoughts that we struggle to focus or be clear about what we want or stick to plans or basically get things done. So the surprise benefit of the daily practice is that even though it takes time, it feels like we have more time. And this is because it very quickly improves our ability to pay attention, and it reduces the amount of sort of wheel spinning in our minds that's otherwise just sucking time and energy out of your day pretty much constantly. But you'll have to try it to experience this. The second most common thing people ask me is, they say, I have a hard time meditating. Can I just skip that part? And the answer is yes, you can do this however you like to do it. The reason, though, that I suggest you do meditate immediately after you write is because, well, that's what I was taught, and it worked. But also, 25 years of teaching other people how to do this has convinced me that it does work better together. The writing works better when you meditate afterwards, and the meditation works better with writing before it, if that makes sense. They go together. And one reason I've noticed is you can't necessarily feel it in the moment, but writing is hard work for your mind and for your spirit. And so people who only write and don't meditate will pretty soon find it tiring, and they'll have trouble sustaining it. So yeah, I always call them twin techniques. They go together. Another common question is, people say, I have my own form of meditation, like mindfulness or vipassana or whatever they have. Can I just do that? And I say, yes, you can do whatever works for you. I always say that, right? And if you have an established meditation practice that's almost automatic for you, that would be a good form of meditation to use. But If you are not that far along with meditation, or it's not easy for you, I suggest that you try my simple form of meditation because it's easy to do, and for most people, it's more restful than most other formal ways of meditating. There's no need to focus on posture or breath or even emptying your mind. The goal here is just effortlessness, although I don't even want to use the word goal because that implies a lot of effort. If you like simple meditation and you want to go further with it, one way you could do that is by finding a teacher and actually getting trained in a simple form like Transcendental Meditation or its generic form, which is called Vedic meditation. Okay, people often ask about how well meditation fits with their religion. People often say, I'm Christian or another religion, and I'm looking for a form of meditation that's aligned with my faith. And that's not a problem. In lieu of a mantra, you can use a holy name or a passage from scripture to repeat silently to yourself. And if you find that this requires a lot of effort and you're not getting the relaxation that's important for healing, you could always stick with the neutral mantras like the word this or the word okay, just to occupy your mind so you don't completely forget you're meditating and start doing things. Okay, people also ask me, what if writing about fears and resentments brings up negative feelings and makes them worse? So if you're feeling worse when you write, it's probably one of two things. You might be digging too much into the past or analyzing what you write, like getting into it rather than just jotting down what's already on your mind. Or you may be trying to do too much by trying to do it right or perfectly or even trying to add to it. So consider just pouring out your thoughts on paper and releasing them, or better yet, asking for them to be removed if you're a God person. And just keep it simple. Let the technique do all the work. And then people ask me, will I have to write and meditate for the rest of my life? And the answer is no, you don't have to, but if it's really working for you, you'll probably find that a regular practice works better than an occasional one, and that keeping it going works better than dropping it. But pretty much, you can let your own experience be your guide on this. Now, some people say, I don't have resentment. Can I just write fears? And I say, ha! Everyone has resentments. Maybe it's at other drivers, maybe it's at a political party, maybe it's at yourself in the form of shame or guilt. Think about it. Maybe it's at the supermarket because they put out meat so close to its expiration date. Maybe you have resentment at me for insisting that you have resentment. It isn't always a big thing. Sometimes it's trivial, but everyone has resentment. And the paper is the perfect place to admit it. Okay, some people tell me, I'm worried that if I release my fears, I'll just be allowing people to abuse me. And that was initially my worry too. But if anything, having less fear has made me braver about standing up for myself. It's made me clearer about when a problem is really in my mind and when it's actually happening and I need to do something about it. Or maybe I don't have to do anything about it, but what I don't do is let people walk all over me just by having less fear. That's not how it works. This is really common. People tell me that they're writing a gratitude list at the end of the writing, and they want to know, is that okay? And the answer is always, yes, you can do whatever you like. And focusing on gratitude is a really wonderful thing to do. But just while you're doing the daily practice, I suggest that you set aside the gratitude list, get the fears and resentment on paper, close your eyes and meditate. And most days, you'll just find yourself experiencing more gratitude as a result anyway. So let the daily practice do its work on you, just in a simple form. And then when you're done, you can pray, write your intentions for the day, read spiritual literature, list things that you're grateful for, do push-ups. Whatever it is that's part of your positive routine is perfect to add in at that point. And finally, a lot of people ask if the daily practice can be shown to their children or partner or friends, and how they can encourage that. And the great thing is, absolutely anyone can do this, even small children. My own kids learned the technique before they could even write, and I just had them scribble on paper while they told me their fears and resentments. And I wrote for them, like taking dictation. Older kids can write it themselves, and teenagers absolutely love this technique, or some of them do. You know, they're teenagers. They don't want to be forced to do anything. But the best way to attract someone to this practice is to do it yourself. If it's working for you, people will notice the change and ask you about it. I don't recommend pushing this or anything else on people, even if you feel sure it would help them. Everyone needs to come to it in their own time. So those are the 10 FAQs on the daily practice. And if you haven't tried it yet, Come learn it in my course section. It's free, it takes less than an hour, and if you're like me, you'll find it really calms your dysregulation and helps you feel a little better, sometimes a lot better, right away. There is a link down below in the description section, and if you register, you'll be invited to join my free daily practice calls, where people around the world join me to write and meditate together via Zoom conferencing. It's a really nice way to dip your toe into some community, and I hope to see you there.